This episode is brought to you by Lumina Growth Lab. At Lumina, we help professional learning and development consultants who are struggling with steady lead flow, consistent bottom line revenue, and scalability, so they can finally have healthy margins, make more strategic decisions, and ultimately take their business to the next level. Most of the time, our clients come to us frustrated because nothing seems to work outside of word of mouth and referral-based growth. But with the right strategy and support, they're able to confidently add new channels of lead generation that create sustainable revenue year and year over year growth for cheaper than ever before because of the use of AI technologies. If that sounds like you or someone you know, connect with me on LinkedIn and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about unlocking your business's potential. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the Marketing Matrix, guys. My name is Lisanne Murphy, and I am so excited to be here with you guys today. I have an incredible guest. I met him recently, and as soon as I heard him, his story, and his vibe, I was like, I've got to get him on the show so that he can share his goodness with all of you. So I am here to welcome the amazing Jonathan Raymond. Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
You bet, Lisanne. Great to be here.
Okay, now this guy, he's kind of a humble guy, but he's got a rap sheet for the ages, and he knows his stuff. He's an author of the award-winning leadership book Good Authority. He's an Inc. 100 top leadership speaker. He is a self-proclaimed, and I'm sure an actually true girl dad. And he's the founder and CEO at Ren AI. And of course, the most important fact, he's a diehard Knicks fan. So yeah, there's a lot
Everyone's
of
clicking
drama.
off right now.
There's a lot of drama going on up there with the teams up there right now. But anyway, it is seriously so good to have you. Thank you again for coming on the Marketing Matrix.
For sure.
So for the people that don't know your awesomeness and who you are, give us a little background story.
Yeah, sure.
Tell us about your story of how you got to the point of running AI and having all these accolades and writing the book. Like give us your story.
Yeah, so I would say my version of the delusional entrepreneurial journey. I've been in this business for about 10 years. My long ago background, I started out as a lawyer, did business development, which is what lawyers do when they don't want to be lawyers anymore, or at least corporate lawyers. And I found myself in the industry of, coaching and development and L&D and HR. And I was working for another company, not a company that I had started. And was learning all about how coaches and consultants help people systematize their business, how they put process in place, culture, values, vision, all this stuff. And I just felt like there was this last mile problem where all that stuff was good, but where everything was falling down in all the companies that I would see, including my own, by the way, was at the actual conversation between two humans who don't see eye to eye, are misaligned, come from different generations, see the world differently for whatever reason. Power dynamics, that was a big one for me. And I just saw people like, that person's saying this, the other person's hearing this. Those are not the same. How do we get people actually into a shared reality? And so I launched the first iteration of the work that I do today about 10 years ago, got into that work. We can talk a little bit about that. But 2 years ago, when the sort of AI lightning bolt hit, I thought, okay, hard pivot. Now's my opportunity to really do this at scale. And that's what we're doing with Ren.
I love it. So can you break it down a little bit in terms of like is it a like how does it bridge the gap? Because I love that. I've had almost every hard experience I've ever had in my life is because I've said and meant something, but how it's received is different because of how they're framed and what they hear. And so it's this battle of, I love how you say, like, how do we create a shared reality? Like it's this battle of, you're like, why don't you understand me? The person's like, why don't you understand me? Like, and it's really tough. So, like I'm curious if you could go into a little bit, like what was the older solution and how, like, what was it about AI that made it like now's the time to really make it a reality?
Yeah, before we go there, I want to share one of my favorite old movie scenes. I think this was from the 1980s, and I'm gonna mess up the title. It was something. It was a movie with Bruce Willis and Michelle Pfeiffer, and they go to this therapist, and the therapist tells them, "Hey, when you're in bed arguing with each other, it's not just the two of you arguing; it's your mom and your dad, and your mom and your dad." And they have this whole scene with them in bed where like their parents as ghosts kind of come in the bed, and they're having this conversation, and they're not actually talking with each other. It's like the parents and all the unconscious psychology and emotion. And like, that's the actual conversation. So The old solution, what we would try to do is we would get on a plane or we would get on a Zoom call during COVID or whatever, and we would sit with a group of managers or a group of leaders, and we would try to understand their pain points, and we would try to get to the bottom of what was going on for them and what they had tried. And then we would introduce our tool, which is what we call the accountability dial, which is a 5-part method for how you start, manage, and complete difficult conversations so that they're not difficult. And we would get a lot of head nods. Wow, this is awesome. This is great. People would read the book. This is great. We want everyone in our company to operate this way. And then we would leave and they would go back to doing it the way they were doing it before, because that's how it works with us as adults. We learn something new. Even if something we agree with, 90% of it goes out the door in the first 10 minutes and the other 10% goes out the door in the next 24 hours. And then we remember I went to that workshop once. That was cool. Like, we should use that, right? And then maybe they pay you to come back. So it's a very frustrating business to run because you go in, we got really, really good names, companies you've heard of, companies you haven't heard of. And we would go in and there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of people in need and the business is operating at breakneck speed. And there's really no way for a consultant coach, there's no really way to intervene while the train is moving that quickly with so much chaos and so much disruption. It's really, really difficult to intervene in a meaningful way, right? Unless someone's going to pay you like $1 million a person to sit next to every person in the organization. It's like you can't get close enough to the wound is the way that I like to think about it. And so you end up with these piecemeal solutions. It's very unsatisfying business to run because I believe strongly in our ideas and I think we can help. But it's very frustrating when you can only go this deep and, to the degree that you do have a budget, that budget is heavily indexed towards the people at the top of the org chart. So I just got really bored and really frustrated. And I could tell our clients were like, yeah, we love these ideas, but it's not working. Like the ROI is just not there. And so that was where I decided to make the change.
I love that. I love that. So in terms of like what does the AI component bring that allows you to have the depth? Like instead of like going from like this deep, like what are we talking now? Are we this deep? Are we this deep? Like what's
So
happening?
when I first started on this AI journey a couple of years ago, all my coaching friends and maybe some of my coaching enemies, they were looking at me like, that's crazy. AI can't do my job. AI, and they were so triggered and so defensive and anxious about this new technology. And for better or for worse, that's just not, I'm like, oh, cool. What does it do? How does it work? How can we play with it? Like, what can it do that I can't do? Like, that's just my orientation. And so I've always held this idea, and I've done tons of coaching, executive coaching with CEOs and founders. I've done all of that stuff. I've done it in the personal space too. And I always had this feeling, which is summed up in this mantra that I have internally, which is that people need sentences, not sessions. I don't need an hour with you. I just need to know what's going on. And I'm going to give you one sentence. We can talk about it. We can think about it. But what's the one sentence that you need to move one situation forward? And try that. Then let's come back and get another sentence, right? And so it's actually a rejection of the model of like, I don't want to spend 10 hours with a CEO. I want to know, what are you frustrated by? What's the problem in front of you? Who is it with? Okay, go say this. Oh, hey, Jonathan, why should I say that? Oh, let's talk about that for a second. Makes sense? Yeah, got it. Cool. Here I go. And then they come back and they go, I said it. It worked. Why did it work? I don't understand. Great. Now let's spend 20 or 30 minutes talking about something that you did that had a result, and then we can understand and reflect upon it and all that. So I'm very I believe in action. I believe in challenging ourselves out there in the world. And Ren is designed to help you very quickly, like, what's going on? Go do this. Right. And if you don't know and you don't like what Ren suggests, or you have submitted, great. Hey, Ren, well, that's too scary. Do you have another way of doing that? Okay, great. How about this? Great, but small, lightweight, not deep, intentionally not deep, because we got to get it moving. And so Ren is all about that, trying to get real-time feedback at the speed of business.
I love that. Well, I love how like one of the things that I gathered from you in our last conversation, and it's reiterated here that I want the audience to recognize, is you are visionary and you're leaning into opportunities, right? I think there's a lot of fear and skepticism and like a lot of weariness around AI and in terms of how it's going to take over instead of learning how to leverage. And I love how you're like, let's figure out how to use it as a tool instead of as a master.
Yeah.
And I think it's really
Yeah.
cool that you're doing that.
Yeah. And just think about, like, in another, I was watching, there's a viral, I think it's on X or Instagram or wherever right now. There's a doctor, I think he's in Arkansas, Texas. And he said, like, all my patients are using AI now. and everybody's coming into my office and they're all like an armchair expert on everything. They have all of these questions and they want to know like what's the rate of this and what's the incidence of that and what about these or whatever. And he's like, they are like radically more informed. They've already have their own treatment plan that they've designed and all this kind of stuff. And he said, and I see a lot of doctors that are going to be steamrolled by this, right? Because they're going to feel threatened. They're going to feel like, well, I'm the expert and I know. It's like, don't treat it that way. Just be like, oh my God, this is amazing. They're just trying to learn. They're just trying to be educated. It doesn't mean the AI is right, but you don't have to have all the answer, right? Like if somebody asks you a question and says, what's the incidence rate in the US population of da da da, like, I have no idea. That's not what they teach us in medical school, right? Like, oh, what did ChatGPT say? I don't know. It said 1 in 10,000. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, cool. Now let's talk about you, right? Like, and it's like, you don't have to feel threatened by it. It's quote unquote smarter than you already. Every day it gets even more smarterer than you. That game is over, right? It's smarter than you. It has more knowledge than you, and it can cull through data infinitely faster than you. You don't want to compete on that. That's not the field you want to compete on. You want to compete on the field of understanding nuance and context and relationality and empathy. And to me, I've been doing a lot of writing about this lately. Like to me, that's the invitation that AI is not alive. It's not a being. It's a tool. But if it was, it's sending us a message. Level up as human. Bring me your human stuff. Stop trying to put your value around everything you know or your solutions or your ideas or your ability to move information around on a spreadsheet. Sorry, I'm better than you at that. You better bring me something else.
I love that. Is Ren AI, is it a, in terms of how you're using it working with clients, is it like a generative AI that has like all of your frameworks and good authority and everything in it, and you're combining a personal touch of coaching along with it, or like what exactly are you trying to do with Ren AI?
So one of the things that I've learned as a first-time tech founder, I've been a founder before, as a first-time software company founder, is that it's at least as much software as it is AI. It's a lot of software. Traditional software, a lot of the things that you got to build are the same, even if you're building an AI application. So it's really two products. It's a software product and it's an AI product, and they have to play nicely together. So that being said, we have trained it on our curriculum and our methodology, and we do a lot of work. Our team every single day. Hey, how do we improve this output? How do we get this to sound more human? How do we get this to retrieve the right information about the user to help them with a specific conversation? But the way that we're doing it right now is you can use Ren purely on your own. You can sign up. It's $9 a month. You can add your team, $9 a month per person. And we offer training and human services on top of it. So for a lot of our organizational corporate clients, they say, "Hey, this looks great, but can you train our managers in these ideas?" And so we'll do that. Or we need some help around the change management around this. Okay, can we help with that? Or we have this one VP over here that really needs one-on-one coaching. Okay, great, we can help you with that. But the idea is 90% of the problems and the conversations and the challenges, let the AI handle that, and then use humans for what they're really good at, because those hours are expensive.
Yeah, I love that. So, and is the focus of the knowledge base, is it around is it decision making, conflict resolution?
It is how to talk with other people about what you're seeing them do or not do that is holding themselves or the team back from being their best self, their best team, or the highest performing organization. So it's the things that it's for all the conversations that we skip, we ignore, we hope go away. We go home and we complain to our partners and spouses and friends, and we never do anything about. So we're trying to recapture all of that human emotional energy and bring it back into the workplace where it belongs, into productive, kind, honest conversations with your colleagues about what they're doing that's pissing you off, frustrating you, holding themselves back, creating misalignment, poor listening, lack of collaboration. It's all of that stuff that has implications for decision making and productivity and efficiency and all those things. But it's really about the human conversation.
That's so cool. So, and tell me, and this is a little bit more of a deeper question, but what role is Ren AI playing in your life? Not in terms of applying it to your everyday, but in terms of do you feel like you've in your life you've landed on okay, this is my life mission and purpose to do this and there's so much passion around it, or is this still like a step in the ladder for you and like your life vision and mission that you have for yourself?
For
Like,
me personally,
yeah,
yeah,
personally,
yeah,
like what role does Ren AI like as a vehicle, not as an application, but like as a vehicle, like what role is it
yeah.
playing for you as a human?
Yeah. So I'll go back to the thing I started with is my delusional entrepreneurial ambitions is that I've always had this itch to try to build a software company and to try to build a company that has value beyond my own ability to trade time for dollars, right? I've always wanted to see if I could do that. And so the vehicle that it is for me is to create something that scales, not just my ideas, but the ideas of other coaches and consultants. So what I want to do is if it can work for me and I can take the ideas in my book and the idea and implement this with our clients, well, then you can do that with yours, right? So I'm the guinea pig. And so it's a vehicle because I see a lot of coaches and consultants who have really good ideas. They're mostly pretty bad at marketing. They're mostly bad at marketing and hate sales, right? It's kind of like and so they just want to be like, but they have something of value. And so I'm really making this for them as much as I'm making it for myself because I think it's an enhancement and a way to scale the helpers of the world, right?
I love
So
that.
that's so that's that for me. And then for me as an entrepreneur, I wear two hats. So one is running Ren AI and getting that to where we want it to be and business development and keynotes and all that kind of stuff. But then I also have my personal passion, which is around personal development and spirituality more broadly. And so the work that I do personally, which I don't talk a lot about, I'm starting to talk more about, and we'll build more events and retreats and seminars, has nothing to do with work or leadership, at least not directly, has a lot to do with marriage and intimacy and vulnerability and fatherhood, motherhood, being a parent, being a child, and navigating that terrain. And I have a lot of, I'm not a PhD. I don't, I have that type of a background. I have battle scars from 25 years of doing deep personal work. And I've tried to share those with people as humbly as I possibly can and say, hey, here's what happened for me when I was in a situation like that. And here's what you might try. And so I'm building up, on YouTube and other places. That's kind of the other half, the other vehicle for me. So I've got a kind of driving two cars right now.
I love that. So, and in your mind, like, is Ren AI, is it giving you the time freedom and the money freedom to focus on the like mindset and spirituality piece, or like is what's happening in Ren AI a laboratory where you're practicing what you want to do on the spirituality side, or maybe a combination of both? Like,
But
how
yeah.
are you how are you organizing that in your brain?
So the answer to your first question, is it giving me the time, money, and freedom? No, it's giving me, it's requiring an enormous amount of attention, an enormous amount of money, mine and from other people. And the team is amazing, but there's a lot of nuance to what we're trying to do. So I'm heavily invested, in that process. It's a vehicle for me to work on myself in the sense of there's a lot of rooms and a lot of meetings and a lot of emails and a lot of Slack conversations that I don't need to be in because the team's great and I trust them and they're doing great things. So it's a way for me to practice what I preach in terms of my own leadership and letting go. It's my personal brand work is definitely suffering because of how much time, attention, and money it takes to get a software startup off the ground. Because we've only been doing it for like 18 months. Hopefully in another year, it'll get a little bit better.
And is your goal ultimately, and you don't have to share this information if it's too confidential or it's too early, but like, is your goal to sell Ren AI, or like, are you wanting it to grow it forever, or like, we'll see?
No clue. We'll see.
No clue.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love your willingness to like lean in and just kind of see what like give it all you've got, but also like the openness to see like we'll see. Like it's really interesting.
Honestly, it's the thing that bums me out when I meet people who are in pain and they won't make a choice. And it's like when my biggest value is choose in. You don't have to be right. In fact, you're almost definitely going to be wrong. Like choose in, try it, go for it. In a relationship, in work, in life, in your community, like go for it. What is it that you think? Like stop sitting around analyzing your opportunities. Like none of that information is relevant. Go, just go. And that's the one thing that drives me crazy is when I see people get stuck in their own, and it's usually the best people get stuck in their own way. Well, I can't do that, or I don't know, and maybe I should do this. I think I'll just stay in my job that I hate for 10 more years. because there's a steady, like, come on.
Now, is that a natural ability that you have, like the bravery and courage to just go, or is that something that you've learned?
It's the right question. I don't know what's wrong with me in that sense. Like, I have always been like, I think about my earliest memories, like when I was like dating in high school, like my first few girlfriends, like I couldn't stay if I wasn't like all in, I was like, I'm out of here. And I had a string. This is like random personal details, but like the first 3 girls that I dated in high school, they were all under 3 weeks. And then each one of those girls dated one of my friends for years. And I was like, so I had like 3 of my best friends. I was like, wow, all 3 of them have girlfriends that I dated, but what's wrong with me? Right. And it's like, but that carried forward into like later points in my life, jobs like I couldn't, if I could at all afford to switch. And even sometimes when I couldn't, there are times where I had $14 to my name and I was like, I hate this job. I am miserable. I'll figure it out. So I would say I'm very resourceful as a person. I find a way. I didn't always have this, but these days, for the last 15 years, I've been married to a woman who's like that with me, and she's always up for an adventure and like, well, let's try it. Let's see what happens. But I think so. I think there is some. I don't know if it's innate. I don't know if it's learned, but I've always been that way. Like if I'm unhappy, like I just can't. I can't stay. I gotta go.
Hmm. I love it. Oh, it's so fun. You're a fascinating human. I really appreciate your psychology and your openness, honestly, about what's going on between the ears.
I want to put up one asterisk to what I just said because
Okay.
there have been moments where I did stay in an extremely uncomfortable environment, but only because there was someone in my life who I trusted knew better than I did in that moment. And they said, don't leave. Don't walk right now. There's something you need to learn from this experience and you haven't learned yet. But in the absence of that person, and it's rare to find somebody who's courageous enough to tell you, actually, quitting right now is the worst thing that you can do because right now, what's in your grill is this thing that's really true about you and you don't want to look at. And the world is your perfect teacher. It's staring you in the face. You need to look at this issue. And if you walk out the door, you're just going to recreate this somewhere else. So that's the one asterisk to that moment. Like you got to choose, you got to make a move, you got to go. But also, there are times, it's not everything, where actually the most courageous thing you can do is stay in a stuck situation, not in an abusive relationship, not if your boss is throwing shit at you, like not that level, but like where it's like really uncomfortable, like a meditation retreat. Like if you leave at the first sign of discomfort, well, you missed the whole point.
Yeah. So what would you say are like the guiding principles of like, cause like, it's not just as simple as like, if you don't like it, bounce. Like, if you know you need to make a change, like get out of there. Like, I agree with you. Like there are times where it's like, no, like there's a really important lesson here for you. And I've been to meditation retreats. And so like, I understand exactly what you're talking about. Like there is power in sitting and just looking at your pain by yourself. And there's beauty on the other side. But I also have been in situations where it's like, man, should have left that a long time ago, right? So like what would you say are like the guiding principles to like knowing when to stay and dig in and know that there's a lesson versus when it's like, dude, stop, like you say, like analyzing your opportunities. Like what are the principles guiding that?
I think that it's fundamentally like, is there a meaningful growth experience for you in it? Right. And you have to dig for that. Right. So if you're in a job or let's say you have a business or you're in a job where you're bored, right? You're stagnant and you're like, I should bounce. I should go do something else. I should close this business. I should whatever. Right. I should quit this job. You got to ask yourself a question. What is as a thought experiment? What if right now in the situation I'm in, I could learn something fundamental about myself and I could confront one of my deepest blind spots? What is that? Ask some people in your life. Hey, here's my situation. Because you won't know. You won't find it in yourself. Go find someone who you trust. If you trust Lisanne, ask Lisanne. If you want to ask me and say, hey, wait a sec, here's my situation. What am I missing? What is the thing that I could learn from sticking it out here that I'm not seeing? Because you can't see it, right? If you could see it, you would know what it was and you'd be digging in and you wouldn't be feeling like I got to get out of here. So you got to go outside of yourself, find someone you can trust, your friend, your cousin, your coworker, whoever, and say, what am I missing? If I stayed here for 6 more months in this situation, what would be the win for me? Like, what could I get from this from your perspective? Tell me the raw truth, right? And don't stop asking that question until somebody gives you a good answer. Until someone says, well, I've been trying to tell you for years that you suck at being this, or you're, you always do this, or you always say yes when you mean no, or you don't listen, or whatever the thing is, and be like, I think that's what they're trying to tell you. I
I
think
love
that's the
that.
fundamental thing.
Yeah, well, and it's so hard, right? Because I love how you bring up the point that like we're often so blind to the things that are holding us back because that's the only lens that we know. And so for us, that is reality, right?
There's another element here where I see a lot of people uh, kind of just miss the moment, which is you're in a situation that isn't good and you've decided that that situation won't change, can't change. You're sure that that situation can't change, won't change because the things that you've done, if you've done anything, haven't changed it. That's not a good conclusion. It's not a smart conclusion because there's something that you haven't done yet, which is you haven't talked to that person or those people or that group or confronted that situation and done one thing, which is tell the truth. You haven't said to them, hey, I'm struggling here because I don't exactly know what it is, but I'm just not happy. I'm bored. I don't feel valued. I don't feel trusted. I don't feel like I'm learning. Whatever is true for you, you haven't said to another person what you're actually feeling. And because you haven't done that, you don't know how they're going to respond. They might actually change something. If you've decided you want to quit that job anyway, what do you got to lose? If you decided the business sucks and it's boring, what do you got to lose?
Mm.
If you got a client, if you have clients that you hate or they're bored or you think are stupid or whatever, what do you got to lose? And I think that's that bravery that I appreciate the compliment. I can own that. That's like, what do you got to lose? There was an old saying from a guy who I didn't know, but he was a really good salesman. And he said, you can't lose a sale you never had. And it's like, that's like, we do it all the time. It's like, you didn't even try.
I love that so much. And I really, the biggest, that's part of my personal journey right now is like I'm realizing that I have put my desire to be liked, to please, to perform, to help make people like me or whatever above honesty.
Mm,
And it's not like I'm lying per se, but I'm also like not being like embodied like the thoughts, the truth, the feelings that I have in a situation. And it is like so scary to just be
mm,
honest. Like it's
mm.
really hard, especially when you have a lifetime of feeling like you need to show up in a certain way to gain approval or love or whatever it is. And man, so that's a big
Yeah.
one. That's a big one. I
Yeah. So
resonate with that really deeply personally right now.
So my question for you, if I can venture into that terrain a little bit, is
Yeah, let's do it.
what do you get to feel when you're not honest, when you're not fully honest? What do you get to feel? What's the upside when you operate by, performing the way you're used to and showing up the right way?
That's a really good question. What do I get to feel by not? I think, I don't know, the thing that comes up for me, and you can tell me if I'm actually answering your question, but the thing that comes up for me is like I'm valuing the other person's comfort more than my discomfort. Like I'd rather them be comfortable than me be uncomfortable for the moment of honesty.
And what's another way of saying feeling comfortable?
I don't know. Content. Even as I'm talking this, like really it's a facade, it's fake
Yeah.
because
Well, but it gives you a sense of control.
absolutely 100%.
It gives you a feeling like there's an order to the universe and the world is generally predictable. And you can generally predict the outcomes of how those relationships and those conversations are going to go if you operate in a way if you take that well-worn path. And if you tell the truth, you have no idea what's going to happen.
It's so true. You're letting go of control.
You're letting go of control. And people don't want to do that. It's literally the only path to real authenticity. Like, so you're open, which is great, which is lovely, right? To say like, hey, I know that that's not my fullest me. I know it's not me, but it's scary to be me. And it's like, it's like, it's anything else. Like, it's like anything else. You have to build up a tolerance for living out of control.
Mm.
And you build that muscle, right? Of like, and that's the ultimate spiritual practice, is to build the muscle of not trying to control the moments of our lives and being with whatever is, being fully invested, fully present. I'm fully here. I'm here for this. And I don't know what the outcome's going to be. And I'm not valuing my life or myself or my self-worth based on the outcome. I'm valuing myself based on whether I'm present and whether I'm honest. It's a
Man,
total, it's a
so good.
yeah,
So
it's
good.
like it's completely off the radar of the way that we were all raised.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I feel it's resonating with me. Like I have like tears welling up in my eyes and I'm like,
Mm.
Jonathan, I did my makeup today. Like you're messing me
Sorry.
up. No, but it's true. And it's, yeah, I'm
Sorry,
really,
not sorry.
please don't be sorry. I'm just giving you a hard time, cause humor allows us out of the moment of vulnerability
Mm.
sometimes. But, in all honesty, like I really appreciate what you've shared and what you've said. It's, cause yeah, it's very, very present for me right now. And so,
Mm.
yeah, I really, really appreciate that.
Mad respect to you for sharing that with me and sharing that with your audience. And you're just a cool person to just go there, which is great, and be open. So that's all I can ever ask from anyone that I'm talking to.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I really, something that I want to bring more to my audience is authenticity
Mm.
and giving people the courage to be authentic themselves as humans and as business owners. I think that we get so caught up in the patterns and societal expectations, family expectations, or what we think a good business owner looks like or what a good business operates as. And it's something that I'm really passionate about is bringing a ability for people to work off of a baseline framework and values to allow them to be themselves instead of to try to replicate something else.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm still looking for language for it because it's something that I feel passionate about that's not
Mm.
the thing yet, but it will be a thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of the way we all work right now is we can work out in the open, right? Like I've sent, 50 newsletters to the Ren AI newsletter list, over the last 12 months, like, hey, everybody, we figured it out. Yeah. Yeah. And then like, oh, whoops, maybe we didn't and it's the nature of the beast. Here's my thinking. Here's where we are. And I think there's an interesting parallel actually happening with technology right now. One of my favorite trends, something that we're trying to do at Ren, but we haven't been able to pull off yet technologically, is if you go to these AI tools, most of them, and a lot of consumer tools now, the tool will give you, is transparent on its thinking. It's really fun, right? It says like, oh, I'm researching this thing. I looked at this website. I reviewed these documents, and it's like, it's so like, we want to see the thinking process. And I think there's a parallel in terms of the transparency that people are looking for, right? I think, to me, that's why this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing was so huge. And it's like, we want transparency. We want to be treated like adults. We want to know the truth. And so I think that applies to us as entrepreneurs and business owners is like, tell me the truth. I know it's not perfect. I know you don't have all the answers, but I want to be with you. I want to be on the journey. Show me your mess, right? Which goes back to what you were just talking about before. So your personal and professional growth opportunity is exactly the same, Lisa.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. So good. So good. Man, there's like so many places and ways we could take this, and I really value your conversation. So going back to Ren AI a little bit, like what is your I love how you're kind of like, let's just see where this goes. Do you have like a goal or something that you're reaching for in terms of what you'd like to see in terms of either in terms of technological development or users or companies adopting it? Like what are you reaching for with Ren AI?
I'm trying to walk a tightrope. There's a very specific marketing challenge that I'm trying to kind of get right. And I'll try to describe it, which is on the one hand, the thing that people resonated about Good Authority in the book is they read it for themselves. And they said, I have this pain. These ideas resonate. I can use these ideas to do something. But a book is a transaction, right? And with most consumer products, it's a transaction. I have this pain or I need this thing today. And then I buy that thing from you. And then maybe I don't need it again, right? I move on. I bought it from you once or whatever. And the good part of that is you're talking directly to the person with that pain. The bad part is it's hard to build a business around that, right? On the flip side, or let's say on the other side of the spectrum, you have HR, right? HR has a systemic problem. They need tools, they need workflows. And in our world, like they're the ones who are tasked with solving the problem of people aren't giving feedback and coaching, people aren't getting the development and whatever. So they're tasked with the problem. That's the good news. They have a budget. But the bad news is they're disconnected from the actual pain and the words that people use and the things that people are actually feeling because they're trying to make C-suite happy, right? And that's who pays their bills, more or less. And so what we're trying to do with Ren is to appeal to the manager or the small business owner or the VP or the director and say, look, maybe HR will buy this for your company, but don't wait for that. We may try to make it affordable enough to say, hey, you can sign up for yourself, add 6 or 7 people from your team and take ownership of this cultural element for yourself and create this environment for you and your team. And you can do that for under $100 a month. And so to me, that's the But that's a marketing challenge because we're asking a manager to swipe their own credit card or at least to go to someone and say, hey, I want to buy this thing. Can I do that? No, so a lot of people have that potential, but we are very deliberately not restricting ourselves to going after like the HR budget or the L&D budget. And so that's currently that's the challenge we're working through.
Well, and the opportunity I think you have by going the method that you do is like the adoption rate will probably be much higher, right? Like when something is implemented at like an organizational level, like through an L&D or HR budget, there's not a lot of reasonable like personal buy-in. It's kind of like corporate health,
Opposite.
corporate wellness programs, right? Like they're actually really cool, like because there's no buy-in. It's just like, oh yeah, like I can get a benefit if I go to the gym and eat an apple or
Yeah.
whatever.
I went to this related to what you're speaking. I went to this conference and there was a guy talking about, he was like a global expert on like benefits and like the usage rate on corporate benefits is like it's so bad. It's like, I don't know what he said, like 0.5%. In companies, it's crazy. It's like one person in the company like really valued that benefit. They bought it for everyone. Nobody uses it. And they're good. Like they're really good benefits, right? But the utilization rate, it's so bad. And so, the companies offering those benefits probably make a killing, but no one's actually using them.
Yeah, yeah, and I can tell you're someone you're like, no, I want it to be again not just this deep, right? Like if it was at a corporate level, it'd be that deep, but like you're wanting like real change.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing for me, the reason why I got into this work is because what I found was when I changed, and I mean really changed as a professional, it impacted me as a dad. It impacted me as a husband. It impacted me as a friend. It changed me for the better when I actually changed, when I actually was challenged enough by my manager and by my environment that there were things that I was doing that were not good. I changed at work in a way that had ripple effects in my life. And that's why I got into this because that's what people at work all day long. And then they go home and they have either unsatisfying relationships or no relationships at all. And so to me, it's all about, how do we use work to help people discover a deeper version of themselves, not just for the benefit of the work. Yes, for that, but so that they go home and that they're a better listener with their spouse. They're, they know how to set boundaries with their kids. They know how to have adult relationships with their parents, right? Like things like that. Those are life skills that are just sorely lacking in our.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love it. I love it. Well, Jonathan, it's been seriously a joy and a pleasure to have you here. What's the best way for people to find you or follow your journey or get access to Ren AI? I'm going to drop the links in the episode notes, so I'll spell it out, but go ahead and just tell us, like, what's the best way for people to
Yeah. So
get involved?
if you want to check out Ren, you can go to tryren.com. 30-day free trial, drop a bunch of users from your team or your company and give it a shot, see if it works for you. So that's my day job. And then I've got a Substack that I just set up where I post long form articles and a YouTube channel where I'm posting more and more videos on some of these ideas. So we can put links to those things. And then of course, a link to the book, Good Authority, is the best way to kind of get to know my body of work.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jonathan, for bringing your heart, your mind, and being present on the call today and for impacting me in a real way. I really do appreciate it. And I know that there are more people that are going to listen to this that will really resonate with your journey and what you're doing and the conversation we were able to have today. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.